Secrets.
Okay, let's try and unpack this, because in this deep dive, we're kind of hitting reset. We want to cut through all that noise and really focus on the bedrock principles of online growth.
And we're looking specifically at the stuff laid out in Russell Brunson's .com Secrets.
Exactly. And straight away, Tony Robbins, he writes the foreword, right?
Yeah.
And he calls it a simple process for boosting traffic conversions and sales. That word simple really stands out.
It does. It suggests we're not getting lost in, like, super complex theory here. It's grounded.
Right. So for you listening, our aim here is to pull out those core actionable strategies, the fundamental stuff that actually drives online success.
Without getting totally bogged down in the latest fads, or
Yep.
making it too technical.
We want you to get the why behind what works consistently.
And it's interesting, Brunson dedicates the book to his parents and his wife, Colette.
Yeah, I saw that.
It adds this this human touch, doesn't it, to something that can feel really digital and, well, transactional.
It really underscores that behind any business, online or off, there's people, there's drive, support.
Yeah.
It's human.
And that human element, focusing on what's solid, not just flashy, that seems key. Both Brunson and Robbins hit on that.
Yeah, we're not chasing magic buttons here. We're looking for a clear map for building something sustainable online.
And Robbins clearly respects Brunson's method. He calls him an online marketing wizard, but importantly, he also points out he's grounded in direct marketing disciplines.
Right. It's not like he invented fire. It's about applying proven stuff to the internet.
Skillfully applying it, yeah.
Robbins even starts his foreword with that quote from General Norm Schwarzkopf: "Shine shoes save lives."
Which seems totally random at first glance, right, for an online business book.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the connection he makes is about discipline. That's the key.
Ah. Yeah.
In this sort of chaos of online business, the disciplined ones win. The ones without that foundation, they tend to fail. He actually contrasts Brunson's thinking with approaches demonstrably devoid of any disciplined thinking. Strong words.
Wow, yeah. And it's interesting how Robbins notes the book treats the internet just as media, a channel, not some totally alien business concept.
Right. It emphasizes stuff like split testing scientifically and building on, proven marketing funnels.
It's adapting classic marketing for the digital age. Makes sense.
Okay, now this part is fascinating. Robbins almost calls the title fraudulent.
Ha! Really? How so?
Well, he clarifies that, yeah, it's called .com Secrets, and it's about online growth. But the real secrets are just solid marketing principles, stuff that works online and offline for getting leads, making sales.
So the .com part is just the setting, basically. The principles are universal.
Exactly. Robbins kind of hints that maybe just calling it reliable marketing wouldn't grab attention as much.
Right. People love the idea of secrets, especially online secrets.
So Brunson uses a bit of legerdemain, as Robbins calls it, with the cooler title.
Clever. Plays into that fascination with the online world.
So even though the name sounds very internet-y, we're digging into marketing fundamentals. By the end of this, you should have a much clearer picture of these core ideas.
Okay, sounds good. Where do we start?
Let's dive into the first big concept, the secret formula.
Okay, the secret formula. Brunson says this is like the absolute first step for any company wanting to grow.
And it boils down to 4 key questions. These are the questions he asks his, high-ticket consulting clients, people paying big money for his advice.
And the story behind it was pretty simple, almost an accident, right? He was just sketching on a whiteboard.
Yeah, and just added where and bait, and boom, these 4 questions sort of emerged.
So question number 1, the big one. Who are your dream customers?
Absolutely fundamental. Brunson insists you need an incredibly clear picture of this ideal audience. It's the foundation for everything else.
He talks about creating detailed customer avatars, doesn't he? Not just demographics.
Exactly. He gives examples like Julie, this successful woman focused on personal growth, and Mike, a former athlete wanting to help people, also into growth.
They feel like real people.
And here's a tip he gives, which I thought was really interesting and something you might find useful. Actually find pictures of people who represent your avatars.
Like real photos.
Yeah. He says having that visual makes the audience feel way more real. It changes your perspective, helps you make better marketing decisions. It's more human than just data points.
I can see how that would work. Makes it tangible.
So once you know who they are, the second question is, where are your dream customers congregating?
Right. Where do they hang out online?
Exactly. You need to pinpoint those specific online spots, forums, Facebook groups, websites they visit, wherever they gather.
And knowing where they are That naturally leads to figuring out how to get their attention there.
Precisely. How do you get them to look up from what they're doing and come over to your stuff?
How do you build that bridge?
Which leads us perfectly into the next core idea, the value ladder.
Okay, the value ladder. Not climbing the corporate one, I assume.
No. Brunson uses this great, really relatable story to explain it. A visit to his new dentist.
Ah, okay. Let's hear it.
It starts with a free teeth cleaning. That's the hook, the initial bait to get him in the door.
Makes sense. Low commitment.
Then, after that, there's this strategic progression. Recommendations for, like, a $2,000 teeth whitening kit, then retainers.
Ah, I see. Step by step, offering more value, but also asking for a bigger investment each time.
Exactly. That's the core idea of the value ladder. You start with bait to attract your ideal clients. Then you present increasing levels of value at higher price points.
You're not trying to sell the most expensive thing right off the bat.
No way. It rarely works, especially with someone new.
Yeah.
You have to build trust first, show some value.
Yeah, that makes intuitive sense. You need that initial positive interaction.
Brunson even tells this funny story about someone learning chiropractic adjustments from YouTube.
Uh-oh. Hope they didn't practice on anyone.
He says, don't try this. But the point is about perceived value. How something complex can seem easy sometimes makes you think about what real value you're offering.
Right. What problem are you actually solving, and how valuable is that solution?
So the whole point of the value ladder is this systematic way to keep offering more value, solving bigger problems for your customers over time.
It's like building a relationship, not just going for one sale.
He uses another great example. His friend selling custom suits. Initially, the suit itself was the main offer online. Tough sell, right?
Yeah, high barrier to entry for a new customer online.
So they shifted. They started offering free custom cufflinks online as the initial bait.
Ah, much lower risk. Get people in the door, so to speak.
Exactly. Generate leads, then guide them up the ladder towards the suit's other higher value things.
And this applies beyond physical products too, right? Like coaching or events.
Totally. Brunson talks about adding coaching programs, live events, as those higher-end, back-end offers.
So the key is having a range. Serving people at different levels, not just aiming for the top tier immediately.
Precisely. A full spectrum of offers.
Okay, so we have the value ladder, the steps. How do we actually move people along it?
Right. That's the crucial next piece. That's where the idea of a sales funnel comes in.
Okay, the funnel. So it's the process for the ladder.
Exactly. Brunson explains it as the orchestrated process you design. It guides prospects through the different stages of your value ladder.
It's the system taking them from just being aware of you to becoming, ideally, a loyal customer, buying your best stuff.
And like we said with the ladder, the funnel helps overcome that hesitation about higher prices by delivering value and building trust first.
You're not asking for the big commitment up front.
No, it usually starts with that bait, that initial valuable offer designed for your dream customer.
But then you lead them strategically towards higher value things, moving them up the ladder.
And the goal, ultimately, is at the bottom of that funnel, you have those dream clients, the ones who are happy, even eager, to invest in your top-tier services.
It's interesting how Brunson talks about the early days online versus now.
Yeah, he points out that competition was way lower back then.
So you could put up a simpler offer, run some ads, and probably do okay.
Pretty much. But now, with so many businesses online, plus rising ad costs,
You need something more sophisticated. A proper funnel is essential now.
it's not just about getting traffic anymore. You need that system to convert traffic into repeat buyers, people willing to spend more over time.
Okay, so secret formula tells us who. Value ladder tells us what to offer. Sales funnel is the process.
Got it. So the next logical step is, how do we actually find those dream customers to put into the funnel?
Exactly. That takes us to the fourth core idea. Identifying the dream client is step one, but then comes the challenge. Where are they online? And how do you get them to your site?
And that's driving traffic, right?
Yep.
Getting people, usually via ads, to click over to your stuff.
Right. But before you drive traffic, you need to know where they're already hanging out those digital congregations.
Brunson really emphasizes how consumer expectations have shifted too.
How so?
People are just tired of generic, one-size-fits-all marketing. They expect ads to be relevant, to speak directly to them.
Makes sense. We filter out irrelevant noise all the time.
He uses a good example. A local pet food company in Tampa.
Okay.
They sell food for dogs and cats. A general pet lover's ad. Probably not great.
Right. A dog owner in Tampa wants to hear about dog food specifically, cat owner, cat food.
Exactly. So as the business owner, you have to actively find these congregations, the
Yeah.
blogs they read, the Facebook groups, niche communities.
You got to do the homework to figure out where your specific audience hangs out. Maybe you delegate it later, but you need that initial understanding.
So, okay, you found the congregations, now what? You're facing that third question from the secret formula. How do you get someone to actually leave that group or blog and click your link?
You found them, but now you need to grab their attention. Interrupt them, basically.
And this is where Brunson brings up Inquirer interrupts.
Like the tabloid headlines.
Exactly like that. Headlines designed to just stop you in your tracks, make you pay attention to that story or ad.
So the goal of your ad headline is the same. Disrupt their scrolling or reading.
Yep. Break their focus, get them curious enough to click through to your page, your offer, your bait.
So finding them is half the battle. Grabbing their attention is the other half to get them into the funnel.
Precisely. Identifying them and knowing where they are is crucial, but useless if you can't actually interrupt them effectively.
Okay, that makes sense. So once we start getting people's attention, getting them to click,
Yeah.
we need to think about the traffic itself.
Right. And that brings us to another really critical piece. Understanding the different types of traffic. Brunson breaks it into three main categories.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's traffic you control. That's mostly paid ads.
Where you're paying per click or impression.
Exactly. Second, traffic you don't control. Think organic search results from SEO or your organic reach on social media.
Stuff you work for but don't directly pay for each visitor.
Right. And third, the most valuable kind, traffic you own.
Ah, the email list. And maybe followers.
Primarily the email list, yeah, and direct followers. Brunson really highlights the cost of controlled traffic you pay for every click. And the effort needed for uncontrolled traffic, SEO and organic social, take time and work.
But the owned traffic, that's the real asset, especially the email list.
Absolutely. He even gives a benchmark. Try to aim for generating about $1 per month for every person on your email list.
Wow, okay, that's a tangible goal. Makes the value clear.
Which leads to the main strategy here.
Yeah.
Your big focus should be converting the other two types, controlled and uncontrolled, into traffic you own.
Get them onto your email list as quickly and efficiently as you can.
Yes, because the bigger and more engaged that list is,
The greater your potential income. It's a direct correlation.
So wrapping up this bit on traffic, it really hammers home the importance of building that list. It's not just about visitors. It's about owning that direct connection.
Mm-hmm. That asset you can communicate with directly.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the core ideas we've unpacked from DotCom Secrets.
Sounds good. We started with the secret formula, those 4 key questions to find your dream customers and where they congregate online.
Then we looked at the value ladder, that strategic way to structure your offers, providing more value over time.
Which flows into the sales funnel, the actual system or process you build to guide people up that ladder.
We also dug into how you actually find those dream customers in their online hangouts and how to use things like Inquirer interrupts to grab their attention.
And finally, we broke down the 3 types of traffic, stressing how crucial it is to turn traffic you control or don't control into traffic you own, especially your email list.
Right, and all these pieces, they're not isolated. They're totally interconnected, forming this foundational system for building a successful online business.
It's really about understanding these fundamentals, not just chasing the latest shiny object or hack.
Definitely. So as you're listening to this, maybe take a second to think about how these ideas could apply to what you're doing or want to do online.
Yeah, which concept really clicked for you? What seems like something you could start thinking about or acting on right away?
And maybe here's a final thought to really mull over. What kind of bait, that really valuable initial offer, what would actually attract your specific dream customers most effectively?
And following from that, what could be that very first logical step on your own value ladder? Where could you start building from?